So we've talked about earning, and we've talked about saving, debt, protection, and discipline. Today, we talk about what happens when good decisions meet time.
First, we're going to cover the difference between linear and exponential growth. Second, why time horizons matter. And third, the difference between saving and investing.
Because money doesn't just grow, it grows differently depending on how long you give it. And today, we're centering on Mr. Thompson because he's seen compounding play out over decades.
Meet Mr. Thompson. At 70 years old, he spends his days running a quiet local hardware store, keeping the shelves stocked and the inventory organized. If you're young and thinking about your financial future, you might feel a familiar sense of dread. There's a common belief out there that building real wealth requires an exhausting grind, a massive six-figure salary, hitting a jackpot on a stock, or perfectly predicting the economy. But before he sold hammers and nails, Mr. Thompson spent decades working in the financial markets. And what he learned there tells a completely different story. He realized early on that money behaves differently depending on exactly how much time you give it to work. He lived through the tech boom of the 1990s, the crashes of 2000, 2008, and 2020. His biggest gains didn't come from jumping in and out of the market at the perfect moment. They came from having the discipline to stay invested through every single cycle. Wealth scales through a firm understanding of basic mechanics and the patience to let time do the heavy lifting. Let's look at the math to see how time changes the equation. If you put $200 a month into a drawer or a basic bank account for 30 years, you are experiencing linear growth. This chart shows how that strategy plays out. You add $200 12 times a year for 30 years. The line moves steadily upward until you reach exactly $72,000. You possess exactly what you contributed, dollar for dollar. Now look at exponential growth, which is driven by compound interest. This happens when the money you invest earns its own return, and then those new earnings go on to make even more money. If you invest that same $200 a month at an average annual return of 8%, the new line bends sharply away from the first. Over those same 30 years, the final total reaches roughly $300,000. Look at that gap. That extra $228,000 didn't require a second job. You didn't put in more hours or sweat. It was generated entirely by the mathematical structure of compounding.
Time horizon changes everything. Your time horizon is simply how long until you need the money. That one question determines how you should invest. Short time horizons, well, if your goal is 1 year away, like buying a car or paying for college, stability matters more than growth. The stock market can go up or down in a single year, and if it drops right before you need the money, you may not have time to recover. So short time horizons, it equals less risk. Long time horizon, if your goal is 30 years away, like retirement, growth matters more than short-term drops. You have time to recover, time to grow, time to compound. Long-term horizons equals more room for growth.
So going back to Mr. Thompson, he started investing in his 20s. Not huge amounts, just consistently. He didn't try to predict the market and he didn't try to time cycles. He extended his time horizon. He gave his investment time to grow.
And what does history show us? Well, historically, the broad US stock market has averaged about 8 to 10% per year over long periods. Not every year is positive. Some years are negative, some are strong, but over decades, growth has compounded. Time smooths out volatility.
Yeah, the longer the horizon, the more the averages matter. The shorter the horizon, the more short-term swings matter.
The total contributions.
So here's a simple summary for us.
Work in your real life,
time horizon equals how long until you need the money.
Your
Short horizon
is simply a
protects
measure
it.
of how long
Long
it will be
horizon
until you need
grows
to spend.
The longer you give your investment to work, the more powerful compounding becomes.
Saving and investing are not the same thing. They have different jobs. Saving is about safety. Investing is about growth.
A short horizon requires you to protect your money from risk. while a long horizon gives you the runway to expose it to long-term growth. We can look at saving and investing the exact same way, as two entirely different physical tools built for two specific jobs. Saving is the tool you use for protection. You pull it out for emergency funds or unexpected expenses that are right around the corner. It holds your cash in a highly stable environment, but mathematically, the value remains virtually stagnant. Investing is the tool you use for building long-term wealth. When you buy stocks or index funds, you are intentionally exposing your money to that short-term volatility we looked at earlier, specifically to capture that exponential long-term growth. Using the wrong tool has a heavy cost. Funneling $200 a month into a savings account for 30 years lands you at $72,000. Putting that same $200 into an investment account yields closer to $300,000. Neither tool is inherently better than the other. You wouldn't use a hammer to drive a screw. Financial maturity is simply the ability to match the correct tool to your specific time horizon. Mr. Thompson enjoys a quiet, peaceful life today in the aisles of his store. That peace is directly funded by the decisions he made decades ago.
So in this episode, we covered three things: linear versus exponential growth, time horizon shape strategy, and saving protects investing compounds.
Small, consistent actions become large outcomes.
So Andrew, when it comes to compounding, do you have any, experience or stories you can share?
I think it is really interesting talking about compounding because it's multiplying not just your savings, but interest on interest.
Right.
And that's that snowball. And so, as I said earlier, started saving for retirement when I was 20, and my dad's like, hey, even if you just put 20 bucks away. And that thing grows slowly, especially when you're only putting a few dollars in. And you look at it and you think, oh, I started when I'm 20, then I'd look at it when I'm 25, 30, and it's just this slow uphill climb. But as you get older, all of a sudden it is. And hopefully at that time, you're putting a little more money away as your salary or your income is raised. But it is amazing over, I would say, maybe the last 5 years. I am kind of astounded by that compounding interest because the increases are more and more over time. And there is light at that end of the tunnel. But when you're maybe like Alex or you're Sabrina, it feels like a slow grind up. But let me tell you, it's worth it in the end.